Hey folks, it's Stefan, back again with another episode of The Gamer's Companion to Music. Well, you knew it was coming eventually. We're finally taking a look into the world of everyone's favorite plumber Mario. Today, we'll take a look at the out-of-this-world sounds of Super Mario Galaxy. There were so many great scores from incredible Super Mario games, but I chose the first in the main storyline with a mostly orchestral soundtrack. Can you tell I have a classical music background yet? Well, as you'll hear, the masterful combination of orchestra and synthesizer produces another set of very unique sounds that will live on in the Mario Galaxy. Pun intended! Super Mario Galaxy was released for the Nintendo Wii in November of 2007 in North America, and re-released as a Nintendo Select in 2011. The game was one of the highest rated games of all time, and received numerous awards for its innovation in the 3D platform genre. Its sequel, Super Mario Galaxy 2, was released for the Wii in May of 2010. The music was composed primarily by composer Mahito Yokota, with contributions from advisor and longtime Mario composer Koji Kondo. As I mentioned before, the game was the first in the main Super Mario 3D platform series to use a live orchestra to record a majority of the music. The quote-unquote Mario Galaxy Orchestra, as it's known, consisted of about 50 members. Yokota had originally come up with a title theme that was Latin-based, based around the Latin percussion that's present in many Mario games. Congos, bongos, steel drums, things like that. The music was even approved by the game's director, but when it was brought to Koji Kondo, it was rejected. Yokota then tried to compose music based around space, instead of trying to compose based on what they call the essence of Mario. The result is the following music, as heard in the first little bit of the credit suite. The sound team was worried at first that the orchestra recording would screw up the game's rhythm. They tried to make the music line up with the speed of Mario's walking, to give the game a more cohesive feel overall. Now, with live music as opposed to synthesized music where there's much more control with every aspect, it can be at times hard to line up ever-repeating level music to make the game flow. The solution? Well, they recorded the orchestra with a sort of metronome device that was programmed to tick with the rhythm of the game to make sure that things lined up as the music team envisioned. Before I go into specific tracks from the game, I do also want to mention that a rarely noticed element of the sound design is that the game is programmed to sync their sound effects in time with the music that's playing. One noticeable example is the Harp sound effect when Mario shoots out from a star ring. See if you can't try to catch it. I'll let it repeat a couple times. Now, there are other instances of this. See if you can try to find some on your own. Now, on to the meat of it, the actual music. The first really cool element that I noticed back when I was first playing the game was with the music in the Comet Observatory. The music changes based on how many grand stars you've collected. Now, if you've got one or two, this version plays. It starts with mostly synth with a few solo orchestral instruments such as flute and cello. Now, if you've got 3 or 4, this one plays. The music here is primarily the string section with some accentuations from the harp and the flute. Now, if you've managed 5 or 6 grand stars, the fully orchestrated version plays, heard here. You can hear how the music builds in instrumentation, communicating progress to the player through the music as well. I've always thought this was a pretty cool way to integrate the music, based on how you're actually doing. On the screen now, I've put up a list of orchestral music in the game compared to the list of synthesized music. These are all based on the main themes from the galaxies mostly. Now what I've seemed to notice is that most of the larger galaxies, the ones with 6 stars to get, have orchestral-based scores. But there are 3 I really want to focus on to start. First, let's look at the Battlerock Galaxy theme. Here's a great example of a song that's primarily heavy yet orchestral, but if you listen very closely you hear something that's called an ostinato behind it, a repeating phrase that is used mostly to give rhythm. While the sweeping strings and rhythmic snare drum are the focal points, we actually hear this ostinato elsewhere in the game. The track called Peaceful Stars employs the same melodic ostinato and usually plays when you're in a more remote area of a galaxy, namely using pole stars. Here's Peaceful Stars, and then listen to it in Battlerock Galaxy's theme. Now the next one you might already know. This is most people's favorite track of the whole game. The music of the Gusty guarding galaxy is really unlike any other in the game. This track is fully orchestrated, and you really hear every part of the orchestra shine. The melody flows so well over the light rhythms going on behind it. The rhythmic pulse, unlike the Battlerock Galaxy music you just heard, is very light, so it enables the melody to really sing out over in the strings and trumpets. The melody also really develops itself too, so you're not really stuck on one singular repeating melody for too long. Sometimes you hear melodies repeat themselves quite a lot, but Gusty Garden just really takes you places. It's really just a beautiful single track in the game, and it's a shame you don't get to spend more time in this galaxy. I also wanted to highlight one that really does a good job combining the orchestra and synth together. The Space Junk Galaxy is fairly early on in the game, and you really have a nice combination of piano and synth. The synth you hear is some type of pad, and usually pads have a lot of extra reverb or sweeping elements to them which give them a lot of character on their own. You can listen to how the piano has a very crisp attack, but the synth is able to carry on the sound after the attack. It's a really lovely symphony of elements that I can't really stop listening to be honest. Now, this wouldn't be a Mario game without some serious nostalgia, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's check out the Toy Time Galaxy. First off, this is really cool galaxy design, and I have so much fun playing it. But just listen to the music. It's got Super Mario 1 written all over it. They even also have some other nostalgic arrangements built into the game for when you go down a pipe or go somewhere that's very platform-esque. Listen to some of those tracks and tell me you don't just want to play the old NES Mario games again, right? Now, here's my favorite bit of old-time Mario music. They reorchestrated the Super Mario 3 Flying Fortress music! Listen to it! It's so cool! Oh, I love it so much! Ah! Now, I know I'm always talking about motifs in games, and if you've watched other episodes, you already know that. Well, there's one big one in this game that they've especially incorporated into the power-ups you get. So just listen to the opening title sequence. Hear that trumpet lick? You want it again? Alright, let's play it again. Well, that's really just the main motif the composer is using throughout the entire game. A lot of this music harkens back to it in roundabout ways, but the power-ups you collect mostly all use it. Here's what happens when you become Ice Mario. You hear it? What about when you become Fire Mario? A little bit different, still very similar though, right? How about getting the power to fly? Listen closely, it's in there. Oh yeah, and then of course collecting a star too. Woohoo! Now that's a really fun game to play. Listen to the whole soundtrack and find every time this motif happens. Winner gets a prize and/or my loving affection. And who wouldn't want that, right? Well, I'll get you started. How about Bowser's Galaxy Reactor? Yep, pretty sure it's in there somewhere too. Lastly, I'm just going to play the spooky sprint music for a minute. I don't really have anything musical to say about it. It's just wacky, and I love listening to it. That's it. Oh yeah, it's all synth, by the way. Oh yeah, there's something musical about it. It's adorable. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of The Gamer's Companion to Music. Hope you've enjoyed this foray into the Super Mario Galaxy. There's that pun again! I really love the music to this game, and now you can brag to all your friends about how you know some musical elements about it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more episodes from ESVLB Gaming. See you next time! Can't get enough of the Super Mario Galaxy music? Check out this arrangement for 6 trumpets of the Mario Galaxy credits theme.